Hi, my name is James Floyd. I'm one of the chaplains with the YMCA, and I'm here to share with you some inspiration and some hope through some verses that are found in the Bible. So, before I do that, I want you to complete these two phrases. Right now, I'm most afraid of what? And I would feel better if blank happened. So get those things in your mind. All of us have things that we are anxious about right now. All of us have certain things that we're afraid of happening. For me, I'll just tell you right now. For me, my fear has to do with kind of the economy and friends that I know that have been laid off. I have fears that this is gonna drag on and on and on, and it's going to have a devastating effect on families. Now, I'm all for social distancing and being responsible and thinking about everyone's health, including the most vulnerable. But I also know that aside from the health impact, there is this economic impact that's going on. So that's where a lot of my fears happen to be right now today. And I would feel better if we start to see more and more steps of opening things back up responsibly. Now, what do you do with that aside from just naming? Well, there's some power in saying, this is what I'm afraid of, because sometimes those fears just kind of stay in the back of our mind and they impact our interactions with other people. So just stating it and getting it out there, it does bring those things out to the light. The second thing articulating those things helps us to do is to be able to share them with somebody else. And the third thing that it helps me to do as a follower of Jesus is to share those feelings, those thoughts, those fears, those desires with God. And so that's where I'm going to jump into the passage today. You can find it in the New Testament section of the Bible in the book called First Peter chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. And so just to give you a little context of this letter, it's a letter written by a follower of Jesus named Peter, and he's writing to a group of churches that are going through some intense persecution right now at the time that he's writing this letter. And so this is what he says in chapter 5, starting in verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Now, humility is having an accurate view of who we are. And so for a follower of Jesus, for a Christian, us having an accurate view of ourselves has to do with us in relationship to God. Humbling ourselves under God's mighty hand is not this oppressive hand that's there. It's a protective hand. It's a caring hand. So one way that I humble myself is to not jump into, I have to be the hero. I have to rescue everybody. I have to solve this all on my own. Humbling myself and under God's mighty hand is me slowing down and trusting in God. And then it says this in verse 7, cast all your anxiety on him, on God, because he cares for you. So every anxious thought that you have, every worry, every concern, we're supposed to give to God. And not just share with God, but this idea of casting it, throwing it, giving it to him, handing it over, surrendering it to him, and trusting that he cares for you. God loves and cares about you. And then verse 8, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. The Bible teaches us that our enemy is not other people, not other worldviews, not other beliefs, not other political parties. Our enemy is someone who's trying to distract us away from the hope that we have in God and distort the truth about God's love for us. And so the instructions that are given is to be alert and of sober mind. So right now, as we're all going through this storm together in our own separate boat, as it's impacting us all differently, we need to resist the temptation to be drawn away by unhealthy things. Resist the temptation to overusing alcohol. Resist the temptation to turning to drugs. Resist the temptation to burying ourselves in escaping through pornography. Resist the temptation of just isolating ourselves in an unhealthy way. Because we do have an enemy that wants to take us out. He wants to exploit our weaknesses. But more importantly, we have a God who loves us and cares about us. And so we need to be alert. We need to keep a sober mind. We need to continue to throw our anxieties, our worries before God. And we need to trust that he loves us and that he's going to bring us through. And that's something that I've been doing during this time. I just continue to go back to God with the statements of what I'm afraid of and what I would feel better about happening. And I keep trusting that he will bring us through this time. I hope this brought you some hope and some encouragement. And I look forward to being able to see you back at the YMCA when all this distancing stuff starts to ease up. Have a great day.